let's talk about the astrology of week 4 of 2026 from January 18th until the 24th. And it, so we're shifting from Capricorn into Aquarius, which is like earth to air. That's control, results, stability, kind of, into air. Like you can't grasp it. So I think like what we're gonna see a lot of is innovation. Okay. And Aquarius always begins like at the beginning of the new Gregorian year, which like coincides with innovation and new ideas and new things coming out. It's a nice progression to go from Capricorn into Aquarius. Every year is different though. And what I mean by nice progression is it's like the natural progression of things. That's how it works. I know sometimes, people, I don't even want to give that energy, but sometimes people talk about like a 13th sign. No, that's just not how it works. Okay. So in at least not the astrology I use, if that's kind of astrology you use, then good for you. And that's like that's like a different language. So anyhow, like just a little disclaimer, the transits I'm about to talk about, it's about the general astrological weather. It's not talking about how it's impacting your personal chart, okay? Even though you'll feel like, yeah, this is what's going on, it's going to hit everybody differently. And that's why I suggest getting your chart read by an astrologer, or like, knowing where to look at where these things are playing with your chart, because it can really help you a lot with some days things are rough and other days things are smoother. And sometimes if you're a bit sensitive to energy, you'll just kind of feel like, man, what's going on today? And then like, okay, you can see it in the stars, you can see it in the chart, and then maybe it starts to make more sense, or at least you feel like, okay, at least I'm not going crazy. And I've seen that it helps a lot of people in that way. So I like to break down the astrology from I like to go from the millennium even. Okay, so I recently just found all these notes from Aurelia. They were sent by a student that she gave this class when the second millennium started. And so it's really interesting to go from that to the centuries, to the decades, to the years and the months and the weeks and the days and down to the hours. So what I'm doing here is we're talking about the week and then the days that are going there. So the stars this week are really guiding us into better circumstances, but we have to learn. We have to stay open. So like in our life, if we are wherever we are a leader in our life, we need to stay open to learning. If we're not learning, we're going to ask the universe to send us lessons. So if we're not learning from the people around us, we're not collaborating properly, very Aquarian themes, then we're going to be presented with situations that are going to force us to learn. So that's just the way that it works. Mind you, astrology is only a clock. The stars and the planets aren't doing anything. They are just telling us when things are happening. Okay? They're only telling us when the things are happening. So, okay, for example, there could be times, like I mentioned, where in our lives we feel like really hopeful and really like that there's some promise, and we experience like this energy that is inspiring us. It's greater than us. It's giving us this light energy. And there are also times in our life where we just feel kind of lost. We feel stuck and we feel like, where's the help? So the stars are reminding us this week, there is help, okay? Even in the moments where we feel uncertain or we don't have inspiration or we feel uninspired, there's help everywhere, okay? There's help all the time, everywhere, all at once. It's an amazing movie, okay, if you haven't seen it. So, and I would say in many ways, that's when it matters the most. Okay? When we feel dark, and the Capricorn, where it's ruling on your chart, is a very dark area of your life. It's also a very dark time of year, even though in the northern hemisphere, it's when the light begins to return. Okay, at the winter solstice, and then at the summer solstice, it starts to go away again. But the point is like that divine inspiration, when we need it the most, it's always there. The idea, the friend, a new way of doing things, a new routine, an angel, someone just pops up, and it can even be like an insight into something that we've been wrapping our brains around. But no matter what it is, we have to take action. That is what's really important. It's not enough just to have the insight, like or to just scroll past the thing or read the thing. I don't care if you're flipping the channels on the TV, or you're flicking, scrolling like different, through your feed. It's the same thing. It's a different gen, but it's like we need to take action based on what's like being shown to us. So if we don't take action, nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to happen. There's not going to start a process of innovation. It's not enough just to sign up or even to subscribe. Even though it's a start, once we see like what the light is inviting us to, what the divine is inviting us to, what life is inviting us to, all we need to do is kind of come near it. And we do that through that process of learning. So we need to act upon that invitation, essentially, to learn. And that's the big shift that's going on, okay? And this is easier said than done, obviously. So Aquarius is the archetype of the star, and it's like this when we wish upon a star. I'm talking more about this in depth, going deeper into this in the Aquarius season workshop, like when you wish upon a star is what I'm calling it. How to find those stars and follow those stars, and what does it even mean, okay? So when we wish upon a star, we need to follow that light is guiding us, but most of us don't know how to do that. So if you want to dive deeper, check the links to go like into that. I'd be happy to help you like guide us through all of that. Why? Because most of the time we're very much plagued like in this survival mode. We're too focused on where's our next meal coming from, where's our next fix coming from, where's our next attention coming from. And on top of that, Aquarius, like the age of Aquarius, is the age of information. So we're oversaturated with information, and it's like definitely conditioning like current and future gens. So we don't have much time to follow our stars, to wish upon a star and to follow the star, because like it almost becomes like it's another thing that we have to do. It's like this another thing that we have to do. And it can even get to the point where it's like, well, it's good news. These are things that we want, but it becomes heavy because it's like, oh my God, like I have a million things to do. So it's not a priority anymore because I'm so saturated with like all this trans information, like trans fat, so to speak, that I can't even process like the nutrition, like the authentic nutrition and nutrients and pixels that are pumping in and that are surrounding us all the time. But this week, that's what's amazing about this week, we are seeing that we need room to breathe, to process, so that we can understand what is going on within us and then learn about what's going on around us. And that's, again, getting the messages before we're getting like smacked in our face by reality. And we want to get to a place where we're free of our filters, free of our bias, so that we can be objective. That we don't have any attachment to what it is that we're experiencing, that we're not having like projections of vanity, how we want things to be, because reality is going to always reflect to us what we are, not what we want. Okay? And anything that we don't like is creating an unnecessary representation, unnecessary separation. So this could mean that like a old reality or a way that we have done things, it wants to collapse. So it will kind of counter our like self-images of, or the way that we've done things, like how productive we've been and our strength. But if we are able to really kind of like play our cards right, we can draw upon the humility that we are left with when we acknowledge, okay, I don't know everything. Okay. And that my worldview is fragile. Okay. It's only like one bit of the puzzle, it's not everything. So as Capricorn season comes to an end, in the middle of the week, we see that control is not about survival, but it's, an illusion that cannot sustain innovation. And innovation is what we need to, as we're moving into Aquarius, okay, Aquario. So innovation is change, and what we really need to grow in order to survive. So the risk is that we stunt our capacity, okay, to change, um, and do what many people do on the spiritual path, and that's kind of like we grasp for relief without transforming. And that's like just putting a band-aid on stuff, like putting on the band-aid. So, and that's, the ego loves to do this because um uh okay, the ego loves to do this because it wants to get something for nothing. Okay, and so then that's uh all the changes that are going on. So this week is really all about revealing the cost of avoiding change for the sake of okay, so I need to turn that off. Um okay, so the week opens with the new moon in the new moon window. And this new moon is not about something starting something new. It's about realizing that the certain stages, certain strategies, they're not working anymore. So we don't need to get the clarity before we commit. Delaying decisions is going to create more pressure. So we just want to, you make the decision and go with it. Okay. And then on Monday, Mercury is going to trine Uranus, and it's going to bring flashes of insight and some unexpected clarity, maybe some sudden ideas, conversations that shift your thinking. And later in the day, the sun is going to be making a sextile to Neptune. It's going to kind of soften the edge, like, of the conversation, and maybe some more rest, some emotional healing. It's going to be very good on Monday. So that I would suggest that's a day to listen more than act, and pay attention to what lands gently rather than what's loud. And then on Tuesday, there's like so many transits going on Tuesday. I think the biggest is like we're moving into Aquarius season, like I said, but Venus is also going to align with Pluto, and it's going to be very emotional, like bringing up old skeletons around love and money and all kinds of stuff. It's like we want to keep our emotional integrity as much as possible. It's going to be kind of intense on that day. So just be mindful of like how you're speaking to others. And then on Wednesday, the sun is going to, come with Mercury, like combustion. So we're kind of understanding the self more. The sun is the self, Mercury is the insight. And so it's like a heightened self awareness. And then on Thursday, Mercury will then align with Pluto, and we're looking like beneath our thoughts, the not looking just only at the surface level things, but looking like deeper, like, why am I thinking this? So it could be good like for talk therapy or journaling, and releasing some like heavy mental patterns. And then on Friday, the energy is like going, externalizing a bit more. Mars and Neptune are aligning. So, and also Mars is moving into Aquarius. So it's more about like the actions that we're doing for others. And then the sun is combusting Pluto, and the week is kind of accumulating into like, it could be very empowering, but it's going to depend on like where we're focusing our energy. And then Saturday is holding all the energy of the week, and then on Sunday Neptune is moving into Aries, and you're going to definitely want to read about that in my forecast, because that's a big bomb that we're going to have. So okay guys, have a wonderful week, and please share and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one.